Imagine, just for a moment, that you are an astronaut.
An astronaut. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, but I don't mean the glamorous kind. Not the ticker tape parade, the mission control applause, or, the flag planting.
Right. Not the movie version.
No, not at all. I want you to close your eyes and really imagine you are floating in the absolute crushing vastness of deep space.
Okay, I'm there. It's dark.
It's dark, it's silent, and the tether connecting you to your ship, the only thing keeping you safe, has just snapped.
Oh, wow.
You see the ship, your only lifeline, just slowly, silently drifting away. And you are completely, utterly untethered from anything you know. You're just floating.
Loading aimlessly.
Endlessly, in a universe that is way too big to even comprehend.
That is a deeply terrifying image to start our conversation with, I have to say.
It is, isn't it? It's the stuff of nightmares, really. But according to the source material we are diving into today, that specific feeling, that drifting astronaut waiting for a stroke of luck or a rescue signal that might never ever come, is the perfect metaphor for a very specific and I think very common psychological state.
You're talking about the modern existential crisis.
Exactly. That feeling of, who am I? Or what am I actually living for?
Or the really dark one that hits you at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, that one.
Would the world be different at all if I didn't exist? That's a heavy one.
It's a heavy one. And it's interesting you start with that astronaut imagery because usually when people hear existential crisis, they picture something else entirely.
Right. You think of like a philosophy professor in a tweed jacket.
Totally. Smoking a pipe, looking out a rainy window in Paris, thinking about Nietzsche.
Very academic, very dry, very detached from, real life.
But the source material describes it so much more viscerally. It describes it as a literal disconnection from yourself, a state where you can't feel your own value.
Mm-hmm. It's not just thinking about life. It's this profound, deep loneliness where happiness feels fleeting. Like it's a radio signal you just can't quite tune into.
And you're just waiting to be rescued. It's a spiritual vertigo. And today, to help us navigate that astronaut in space feeling, we are not looking at a medical textbook.
No.
We are not looking at a philosophical treatise by Sartre or Camus.
We are looking at a cartoon.
A film, to be precise.
Really?
The boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse.
Which, I have to admit, it sounds like the start of a bar joke, doesn't it?
It really does. A boy, a mole, and a fox walk into a bar.
Exactly. It sounds so deceptively simple. But our whole mission today in this deep dive is to unpack why this story is actually a really sophisticated psychological roadmap.
A roadmap. I like that.
Yeah, the source argues that this isn't just some sweet story about 4 friends walking through the snow. It is a structured, almost therapeutic guide designed to heal the soul and address that exact existential dread we just described.
So we have a map for the lost.
Precisely. A journey of 4 friends through a snowy wilderness, which, represents the difficult trek to find a place called home.
But as we're going to see, and I think this is crucial, home isn't exactly what you think it is.
Not at all.
Before we get into the characters, I just want to stick on this map idea for a second, because usually maps tell you where to go, right? They give you a destination.
Right, point A to point B.
But this story seems to start by asking a different question. It's asking, where are you right now?
That's a great distinction. Most self-help or psychological advice is prescriptive. It's like, do X, Y, and Z, and you'll be fixed.
Follow these 5 easy steps.
Yes, exactly. This story is descriptive. It starts by just acknowledging the blank slate, the feeling of being completely and totally lost.
Let's start at the beginning then. The awakening. The story opens with the boy.
Yes. And the setting here is so important. We have to set the scene. It's a vast, white, sniggery landscape. It's beautiful, but it's also completely barren, empty.
And in the middle of all this nothingness, a boy wakes up. He's small, maybe 5 or 6 years old.
And here's the kicker. He has no idea who he is.
None. Total tabula rasa.
Right. He doesn't know his name. He doesn't know where he comes from. It's total amnesia.
Now, in a thriller movie, that would be the whole plot, right? Finding his ID card or remembering he was a secret agent.
Right. The Jason Bourne thing.
Exactly. But here, the source says this isn't a plot hole. It's the entire point.
It is. The source material analyzes this opening scene as a metaphor for the human condition. The boy represents the inner child.
Okay, the inner child. We hear that term a lot in pop psychology. It's almost become a buzzword, hasn't it? Heal your inner child. Listen to your inner child.
It has, yeah.
So let's ground this. What does the source say that actually means in this specific context?
Well, it defines the inner child as the most instinctual, the most true part of your soul. It's the part of us that is formed in childhood and is originally whole and curious and completely unburdened by judgment.
So why the amnesia?
The amnesia represents what happens to us as we grow up.
We forget who we are.
It's not just that we forget. The source argues that we are almost forced to forget.
Yeah.
Think about the layering process of adulthood. When you're 5, you just are. You like blue, you like running, you like dinosaurs. It's simple.
There's no justification needed.
None. But then you go to school. Then you get a job. Then
Yeah.
you get a mortgage and a car payment.
And suddenly you're not the kid who likes dinosaurs. You're the vice president of marketing who is worried about Q3 projections.
Exactly. The source explicitly lists the agents of this amnesia. Money, fame, status, and this desperate craving for external validation.
All the things we're told to chase.
They're the things that cloud our memory. We get so caught up in the game of adulthood, the avatar we build for society,
Yeah.
that we suffer a kind of spiritual amnesia. We forget that original instinctual self that just was.
That hits home. I mean, you spend 20 years chasing a career, climbing the ladder, and then one day you wake up on a Tuesday morning and you just go, wait a second, do I even like this? Whose life is this?
That is the astronaut moment.
Yeah.
That is the moment the boy wakes up in the snow. And notice what the boy wants immediately upon waking up. He doesn't say, I want a job. He doesn't say, I want to be famous.
He wants you to go home.
Right, but he can't describe it.
No, he doesn't have an address. He uses these vague sort of sensory terms. He says home is warmth. He says it has lights,
It's a feeling, not a GPS coordinate.
which is so different from how we operate as adults, isn't it?
Completely.
Mm-hmm.
Contrast that with how we as adults usually set goals. We were very specific. I want the corner office. I want a specific number in my bank account. I want to live in this specific neighborhood, in this specific kind of house.
We have the what down to a science.
We know what we want, but the source points out that we often don't know why. The boy is the complete opposite. He doesn't know the specifics, the what, but he knows the feeling he is missing. He knows the why.
So the crisis comes from chasing those specific societal goals, the high positions, the wealth, without that connection to the warmth and lights that the inner child actually needs.
That's it.
We're buying the house, but we're not feeling the home.
Correct. And when you chase goals that don't align with that inner child, you end up feeling empty. You feel small. And that is a key moment for the boy. He feels tiny in this vast, overwhelming landscape of snow. He questions his own value because he doesn't know what he's for.
It's the classic, I don't know what I'm doing with my life feeling, which is just, it's paralyzing.
It is. But, as the source highlights, even though the boy feels small and lost, he is about to discover he is capable of very deep things. But, and this is the critical first lesson of the map, he can't do it alone.
Enter the mole.
The first ally.
I love the mole. He just pops up right out of the snow. He's small, he's cute, and he seems surprisingly confident for something so tiny.
He does, doesn't he? The mole is a fascinating character in this analysis. If the boy is the lost inner child, the mole represents companionship. Yes, but it's a bit more than just a buddy. The source describes the mole as the embodiment of the resilient will that stays by our side during dark times. It represents family, true friends, or even that little voice inside you that just refuses to give up.
The part that keeps going.
Yeah, the mole is grounding. He's what keeps the boy from just lying down in the snow and giving up.
But he's also kind of obsessed with cake.
He is very, very obsessed with cake.
I mean, constantly talking about cake. If at first you don't succeed, have some cake. Is that just supposed to be comic relief? Because in a story about deep existential dread, focusing on baked goods seems a little trivial.
It seems trivial on the surface, but the source suggests there's a much deeper layer there. Think about what cake actually represents.
Sugar, carbs, a good time.
Sensory pleasure, immediate tangible joy. The mole's obsession with cake shows two things. First, it shows he isn't perfect or some enlightened guru.
Right, he hasn't completed his path.
Exactly. He has his own vices, his own distractions. But, and this is the crucial part, he chooses to walk with the boy anyway.
So he's not a guru on a mountaintop dispensing wisdom. He's a fellow traveler who also gets hungry.
Precisely. He doesn't have the map. He just offers his presence. But secondly, the cake is a grounding technique. When you are lost in the infinite void of space, like that astronaut, sometimes the only thing that brings you back to Earth is a small, simple, sensory pleasure.
Okay, that makes sense.
The mole teaches us to find small joys to survive the big voids. It's a survival tactic.
That's actually a really helpful reframing. It's not hedonism, it's survival. It's about finding something tangible in the middle of all that abstraction and confusion.
It is. And that presence, that simple companionship, leads to one of the most powerful scenes in the entire film, which the source identifies as a key lesson for anyone in an existential crisis.
The swamp scene.
The swamp scene.
Or the marsh, yeah.
The boy falls in, he's stuck in the mud, he can't get out, and he has to do the one thing that most of us, especially when we are feeling lost and unworthy, absolutely hate to do.
Ask for help. And the dialogue there is just, it's so direct. He asks the horse, what is the bravest thing you've ever said?
And the horse replies, help.
Help. And then the mole follows it up with, asking for help isn't giving up, it's refusing to give up.
Whoa. Let's just pause there for a second and really unpack that. Refusing to give up.
Yeah.
Because usually we feel like if we need help, we've failed, we're weak, especially in our culture, which is so individualistic.
Oh, absolutely. The whole narrative is pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If I have to call you for help, it means I'm not competent. It means I'm a burden to you.
That is the trap of the existential crisis. The source explains that people in this state often isolate themselves. They feel disconnected, so they pull away from others, which only makes the disconnection worse.
It's a spiral.
It's a vicious cycle. You feel lonely, so you hide, which makes you lonelier.
Yeah.
They struggle to even articulate their pain, so they just stay silent.
It's too hard to explain, how are you? Fine. Because the real answer is too complicated.
Exactly. The mole completely reframes that silence. Breaking the silence to say help is an act of rebellion against the darkness. It is a refusal to let the swamp swallow you whole.
Ugh.
It takes immense courage to admit insufficiency.
It's rebranding vulnerability as a form of resilience.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And we see this dynamic play out in reverse, too, which I think is just as important. It's not just the mole helping the boy. The boy, despite feeling completely lost and valueless, protects the mole.
Right. There's that scene where he cups him in his hands to keep him warm, and another where he saves him from falling off a ledge.
Yes, and it all comes back to the boy's answer when the mole asks him, what do you want to be when you grow up?
He says kind.
Kind, not rich, not famous, not a CEO, not important, kind.
Yeah.
The source points out that this proves something incredibly profound.
Yeah.
Even when we feel empty, even when we feel like we have lost our memory and our purpose, we still have the capacity to love. We still have the capacity to be kind. That ability doesn't just disappear because we're lost.
That is such a reassuring thought, that your worth isn't tied to your foundness. You can be lost and still be valuable to someone else.
Your value is inherent, not acquired. That's the core lesson of the relationship between the boy and the mole.
So, okay, we have the inner child, the boy, and we have the companion, the mole. They're walking, they're talking, they're eating cake, things are looking up. But then things get a little darker. We meet the fox.
The fox. Now, unlike the mole, who just pops up cheerfully from the ground,
Right.
the fox is a shadow.
Yeah, he's lurking, he's groaning in the bushes, he's stalking them. It's actually kind of scary at first.
It is meant to be scary. The source identifies the fox as the archetype of the past,
The past?
specifically our trauma, the hurts that haunt us, the things we've been through that still have teeth. The fox is the ghost we try to outrun.
And their reaction, the boy and the mole, is to run away, right?
Right.
They immediately climb a tree to get away from it.
Which mirrors human nature perfectly, doesn't it? When we have pain in our past, what do? We run. We hide. We climb the tree to get away from the scary thing with teeth.
We distract ourselves.
We drink. We scroll on our phones. We work too hard. Anything to stay up in the tree and avoid dealing with the fox on the ground.
But you can't stay in the tree forever. It's cold up there, and eventually you have to come down.
No, you can't. And this leads to what the source calls the turning point of the entire film, the snare scene.
The fox gets caught.
The predator becomes the prey. The fox is caught in a wire snare trap. He's thrashing around, he's aggressive, he's defensive. He expects to be hurt because presumably that's what the world has always done to him.
And he's lashing out. He literally tells the mole, if I wasn't in this trap, I'd kill you.
Which is such a classic trauma response.
Oh.
I will hurt you before you can hurt me. It's a defense mechanism.
And this is where the mole does something that seems completely crazy.
The mole, who is tiny and is essentially a snack for a fox.
A light meal, at best.
A light meal, yeah. He approaches the trap.
I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Why? Why would you do that? If the fox represents trauma and pain, isn't it better to just leave it tracked and walk away? Isn't that what moving on is supposed to mean?
That's the intuitive reaction, right? Cut it off, leave it behind, let the past die so you can have a future.
Hmm.
But the Source analyzes this as the ultimate act of compassion toward one's own past.
Compassion for the thing that hurts you.
Yes, we have to treat our trauma not with avoidance and not with judgment, but with a kind of careful compassion. The fox is prickly, the fox is dangerous, but the fox is also suffering. It's trapped.
So in this map for the soul, we are saying that to heal, you have to look at the ugly parts of your history, the parts that snarl at you, and instead of running, you have to help them get free.
Exactly. You cannot cut off the past. The Source is very clear on this. You have to integrate it. If you leave the fox in the trap, you remain fragmented. You remain a boy hiding in a tree, afraid of the ground. The mole makes the choice to chew through the wire.
He frees the threat.
He frees the threat. And notice what happens after the fox is freed. It's not immediate.
No, he doesn't suddenly become a cuddly puppy.
Not at all. He joins the group, but he keeps his distance at first. He's the quiet observer at the back of the line. She's still a fox. But then, later in the film, the mole falls into a raging river.
And the fox dives in without a second thought.
The fox saves the mole. This is the key insight from the Source. The part of us that has been hurt, the fox is often the very same part of us that knows how to survive. It has the instincts. It has the strength that was forged in fire.
It's the street smarts of the soul.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Sure.
If you reject your past because it's painful, you're also rejecting the resilience you built during that pain. The fox, once integrated, becomes a protector. The Source calls it a tail we can't cut off. It's just part of who we are.
So the trauma isn't just damage, it's also data. It's experience.
It's data and its defensive capability. The fox knows where the snares are in the woods. The boy doesn't. You need the fox to navigate the wild without getting caught again.
There's a great line from the fox later on. He's usually silent, but he finally speaks up and says something like, "To be honest, I often feel I have nothing interesting to say."
And the horse, who we'll get to in a minute, replies with that incredible line. Being honest is always interesting.
That's such a good line. I think I need that tattooed somewhere because it gets at such a core fear.
It really does. It addresses a huge fear in the existential crisis. We think our failures, our traumas, our foxes make us damaged goods. We think they make us boring or unworthy of love.
Right, that people only want to see the highlight reel, the Instagram version of our lives.
But the Source argues the complete opposite. Honesty about our struggles is actually the most compelling thing about us. It's what makes us real. It's what allows for true connection. That vulnerability is magnetic.
So you've got the child, the friend, and the past. That brings us to the final member of the squad, the horse.
The gentle giant. The horse in this map represents the future.
The future, okay.
The future, and more specifically, our hidden potential.
Okay, so he's big, he's gentle, he's kind of the steady, quiet rock of the group. He carries the boy.
He is. He's found standing silently in the woods. He's very wise and calm. But the horse has a secret.
Oh, right, the wings.
The horse is actually a Pegasus. He has these magnificent wings, but he keeps them folded up and hidden.
Now, help me out here, because this is the part I don't get. Why would you hide wings? If I had wings, I'd be flying everywhere. I would never take the bus again. I'd be showing everyone, hey, look at me, I can fly.
Well, according to the story, he hides them because he fears the jealousy of the other horses. He said they made him feel different, and so he just stopped using them. He wanted to fit in.
Ah, the tall poppy syndrome. Don't stick your neck out.
Exactly. Don't rise above your station. Don't make us look bad. It's the pressure to conform, to be normal.
And the Source links this directly to the existential crisis.
Directly. It argues that just as we fear the past, the fox, we also fear the future, the horse. We fear our own greatness. We are terrified of our own potential.
Why? That seems counterintuitive.
Because we're afraid that if we show who we really are, if we unfurl those wings, we'll be rejected. Or we fear we aren't worthy of that power. We think we'll mess it up.
It's that imposter syndrome, right? Who am I to fly?
Who am I to fly? Who am I to start this business? Who am I to write this book? Who am I to deserve happiness? So we walk, we trudge through the deep snow when we could be soaring above it all.
We hide our talents to maintain the status quo. We play small to make other people feel more comfortable.
It is tragic, isn't it? It's a self-imposed prison built out of the fear of what other people might think.
But eventually he does fly. He shows them.
He does. And the catalyst for this is crucial. He doesn't fly to show off. He doesn't fly to prove he's better than everyone else.
He flies because his friends are tired.
Yes. He sees the weariness of the boy and the mole. He sees their struggle in the deep snow. And his desire to help them, to lift them up, finally overcomes his fear of being seen. He uses his power, his wings, to serve others.
That connects right back to the mole, doesn't it? And the boy. Kindness.
It connects everything. The source suggests that our passions and our potential, our wings, are what ultimately lift us out of that existential loop, out of the snow. But we often can't access them just for ourselves. We're too scared.
We need a reason outside of ourselves.
We do. We need the trust of the inner child, the boy, and the support of the companion, the mole, to feel safe enough to reveal the future, the horse.
It's a complete ecosystem. You need all 4 parts working together. It's not a solo mission.
Exactly. You can't fly if you're still running from the fox. And you can't fly if you've forgotten the boy and what really matters to him. And you certainly can't fly if you haven't learned to ask for help like the mole.
It's not linear, is it? It's not like you solve one and then move to the next.
No, it's integrated. They are 4 parts of one whole functioning self.
So the squad is assembled. They are moving through the storm. They've faced the swamp, the snare, the river. And finally, after all this, they see it on the horizon.
The destination.
Lights. A village. Presumably human civilization.
This represents the physical idea of home, the return to the norm, the place where the boy should be. It's the happy ending that we all expect. Get the lost kid back to the town.
And this is where the movie pulls, I think, a massive and brilliant twist.
It does, a huge one.
Because the boy doesn't go.
He stops. He gets off the horse. He looks at the village. It's warm. It's safe. It has the lights he was looking for. It's everything he thought he wanted at the beginning of the story.
But he chooses not to go back.
He chooses to stay in the wild with a mole, a fox, and a horse.
Why do you think that is? I mean, really, why?
Well, based on the source's analysis, it's because his definition of home has completely changed.
It's not a place anymore.
Precisely. This is the ultimate cure for the existential crisis that the source identifies. Recovery doesn't mean returning to exactly who you were before the crisis began. It doesn't mean going back to the old home.
Because you don't fit in that old home anymore. You've changed too much.
You have changed. The journey changes you. The source argues that if you go back to the village, back to the status seeking, the money chasing, the external validation, you'll just get amnesia all over again.
You'll forget the boy.
You'll forget the boy, and the horse will hide his wings again. The boy realizes that home is no longer a physical structure. It is a state of being. Home is being with those you love and those who accept you, including all the parts of yourself. Your own past, the fox. Your own future, the horse. And your own resilience, the mole.
It's a total reframing of safety. We always think safety is going back to the beginning, back to when things were normal.
But the source argues that true safety is found in moving forward with your new integrated self. The boy chooses the wild because that is where he is whole. He doesn't need the validation of the village anymore. He has his own community.
And the film ends with that beautiful image of the 4 of them together watching a shooting star.
A symbol of hope and new dreams. They are out in the cold, yes, but they are together, and they are following a new light. They are no longer astronauts drifting alone in the dark. They are a constellation.
I want to touch on the style of this film for a second because the source brings up a really interesting point. We've been analyzing the psychology, but the format, the delivery, it matters too.
Yes, very much so.
These characters, they speak almost entirely in aphorisms. It's like a Pinterest board came to life. You are loved, bring me cake, storms don't last forever. One of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things.
It's very, quote, heavy. It is dense with these little nuggets of wisdom.
And for some cynical adults, like me, sometimes that can feel a little, I don't know, cheesy, or maybe a bit reductive.
The source addresses this criticism directly. It acknowledges that it might feel sappy or preachy to the critical intellectual mind, but it argues that this is actually a feature, not a bug.
How so? That's a bold claim.
It calls it direct transmission.
Direct transmission, okay.
Think about the target audience. The source says this film works perfectly for 2 specific groups of people. Children who think simply and directly, and overwhelmed adults.
Adults who are too tired for subtext.
Exactly. When you are in the depths of an existential crisis, when you are that astronaut floating in space, you don't have the mental energy, to decode complex metaphors or subtle character arcs or, some Christopher Nolan plot twist.
You're just trying to breathe.
You are cognitively overloaded. You are emotionally bankrupt. You don't want a puzzle. You want an answer.
You want medicine.
You want medicine. You need someone to look you in the eye and say, you are enough. You need to hear, this storm will pass. You need it straight, no chaser.
You need it straight.
You do. The film doesn't hide its message in layers of irony. It offers direct medicine for the soul. It cuts through the noise of the adult world, the skepticism, the irony, the sarcasm, and it speaks directly to that lost inner child we all have.
That's a great analogy. It's like when you're really sick with the flu, you don't want a 5-course meal with complex flavor profiles. You just want a bowl of soup. This film is soup.
That is a perfect analogy. It is spiritual soup. It warms you up from the inside out, and it's exactly what you need in that moment.
So we've walked through the map. We've met the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse. We've redefined home. We've talked about trauma and wings and cake. If we zoom out, what is the big takeaway here? What is the final prescription that the source offers from this whole journey?
The source summarizes it beautifully. It calls this film a 30-minute therapy session.
That's a lot better than a $200 copay.
Perhaps, but the prescription is this. The cure for the existential crisis is integration.
Integration.
You have to retrieve the inner child, the boy, who has been forgotten by the distractions of the world. You have to accept the help of others, the mole, and realize that pure independence is not the goal. Connection is. You have to make peace with your past, the fox, understanding that your trauma has also given you powerful survival instincts. And finally, you have to trust your future, the horse, enough to reveal your hidden wings, even if you're scared.
And you don't have to do it alone. None of them do it alone.
You don't have to do it alone. And most importantly, as the fox taught us, your past failures don't make you uninteresting. They make you real. They make you honest. And that's always interesting.
It's a journey from that terrifying question, who am I, to a much calmer answer, which is, I am this whole group.
Yes. The answer to who am I isn't a job title. It isn't, I am a podcaster or I am an accountant. It's a community of internal selves working together to navigate the wilderness.
That's powerful. It really makes you rethink that feeling of being lost. Maybe being lost isn't an error. Maybe it's just the first step in finding the rest of your group.
I think that's exactly what the source is telling us. The snow is vast, but you aren't empty. You're just waiting to meet the rest of yourself.
I love that. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From astronauts in deep space, to moles who love cake, to horses that can fly.
It's been quite a journey, a whole walk through the wilderness.
It really has. Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to chew on. We talked about the horse and his wings. He hid them because he wanted to fit in. He wanted to be a normal horse.
A very human desire. We all want to belong, to fit in.
So here's the question for you listening right now. If home isn't where you came from, but who you are with, and if your value isn't based on fitting in, what wings are you currently hiding just to fit into a place you no longer belong?
That is the question, isn't it?
Think about it. Maybe it's time to unfold them. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Take care.
We'll see you next time.